Okay, let's begin with our prayers. Today it is chapter 5. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Devi Pranamami Hari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you for joining. Let's begin. Karma Yoga chapter 5, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Okay. Let's our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda before we begin. Okay. So this is what we did in chapter 4. Okay. So in section 1, this is what we did. Knowledge about Krishna, transcendental knowledge. Krishna is the goal of all paths and the creator of Varnashrama system. Karma Yoga, sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. Summary of transcendental knowledge. Now, knowing the divine nature of Lord Krishna is liberation. Okay. And Krishna stresses the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge. Let's understand this better. Why Arjuna is confused and why he is asking again, should I work or should I renounce? He's asking that again. And in 4.41, Krishna said, a person in Jnana who has renounced the fruits of his action, who is firmly situated in the self, is not bound to reactions of the work. And in the 3rd chapter also, there were some shlokas in which it was mentioned very clearly that a person in knowledge need not perform any fruitive activities. And there were some shlokas which will make it very clear for you, like why Arjuna is confused and why he's asking again, tell me clearly what I should do. Okay, and then Krishna also spoke of attaining peace through jnana. He said, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparam samatendriya jnanam ladva param shantim chirena adhigacchati. Means a person who has faith in Krishna, who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who has control over his senses, he is eligible for transcendental knowledge and also he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. He doesn't have to look for happiness in material things. So Krishna also mentioned that he gave a lot of information about transcendental knowledge and how a person in transcendental knowledge will behave. So now again, Krishna advises Arjuna to take up karma. He says, armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. And he says, doubts of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Now Krishna said all this, and then Arjuna is asking, now tell me, renunciation or action? What should I do? Should I renounce? Or is it better to act? Now, in 5th chapter, is what we're going to learn. Nishkama Karma Yoga, easier than renouncing work. That's what Arjuna is going to learn. Krishna is saying that. How to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. Platform of knowledge, knowing the 3 doers. Liberation by focus on the super soul. Liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. Peace on the platform of liberation. Okay. Now, Krishna is mentioning Ashtanga Yoga here, right? You can be liberated through Ashtanga Yoga. So, next chapter, that is chapter 6, will be about Ashtanga Yoga. Now, let's see what all we have studied so far. Krishna is saying Nishkama Karma Yoga is better. The first 6 chapters in Bhagavad Gita deal with Karma Yoga. The middle 6 chapters are about Bhakti Yoga, And the last 6 chapters, chapter 13 till 18, are about Dhyana Yoga. But the whole of Bhagavad Gita is about bhakti only. So what are we going to learn in the first 6 chapters? Learning how to achieve bhakti in Karma Yoga. And the middle 6 chapter talk about bhakti itself. And last 6 chapters teach us how through jnana we achieve bhakti. The goal of Bhagavad Gita is bhakti yoga only. Okay, and Arjuna is a celebrated devotee of Krishna, and they discuss bhakti, and the conversation is about bhakti only, nothing else. So now Krishna says both, whatever Arjuna has spoken so far, Krishna has made it very clear that Nishkama Karma Yoga is better, and Nishkama Karma Yoga will free one from bondage. And then since he mentions Ashtanga Yoga towards the end of the chapter, again going to be about Ashtanga Yoga in the next chapter. Now let's learn what is here. Nishkama Karma Yoga easier than renouncing work. Arjuna again asks whether renouncing work is superior to working with detachment. Krishna replies, both are equal in the sense that both are means to the same goal. But he emphasizes working with detachment as easier and superior. Okay, there is one verse here. Who would like to recite this? Hare Krishna, Sujata Mataji. Yes, Mataji can
Hare
recite.
Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasam Karmana Krishna Punarjanma Samsasi Yachreyat et. Oh, sorry, Mataji. I'm always used to Sanskrit, this English. Sorry, someday.
Okay, Mataji, no problem.
Tanme Bruhi.
Okay. Anyone
I
else?
just open my book and see it.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So who would like to? Manohar Punjabi Prabhuji, do you want to try?
Sloka number?
Mataji.
Who would like to recite? Yes, Prabhuji, you can go ahead. Please recite.
Arjuna Vacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam Cha Samsasi Yakshat Shreya Ite Yor Ekam Tanme Bruhi Su Nishchitam. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. So Arjuna thinks that sannyasa means being free from all kinds of activity. That's what we also say, right? Because we say, oh, when we are very, very disturbed, sometimes people say, I want to give up, everything, and I want to become a sannyasi. So that's the general opinion. So he thinks that means just being free from all activities, and for him, work and renunciation, they appear incompatible. That's what is happening right now. So he thinks being in full knowledge means inaction. We can just give up all kind of work performed as sense activities. But if we are performing devotional service activities in Krishna consciousness, then work is not stopped. Actually, we are continuing to work. So in India, actually, whenever we see sannyasis, wearing all this robe and everything, we offer them respects. They have the highest respect, right, in the society, wherever they are, whether in the forest or on the hill or anywhere. If you find a sannyasi, oh, this person is so renounced, and people worship him, like wow, they admire them. But actually, if they are not, into we read about Nityacharis and all that. So not everyone is a proper sannyasi. And Shastras do not support someone who is just, being idle. So idle mind is devil's workshop, they say, right? Just like that, Krishna also is saying, until and unless your heart is purified, you cannot renounce anything. Externally, we cannot change ourselves. Change has to happen from inside. There are people who wear sannyasis robes and they take ganja and they do a lot of activities that are not proper. And in chapter 3, he's saying, to a devotee who is on the platform of transcendental knowledge, there is no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. So this is what Krishna said. That is why Arjuna wants to make it very clear as what he should do. So in chapter 2, when Arjuna spoke about compassion, Krishna gave him the knowledge, jnana. He spoke about jnana. Then when Arjuna spoke about sinful reactions, Krishna spoke about buddhi yoga. So chapter 2, Krishna explained the characteristics of the soul and its entanglement in the material body, how to get out of this material engagement by buddhi yoga, that is devotional service, work for the satisfaction of the Lord only, that is buddhi yoga. And in chapter 3, from platform of knowledge, there is no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties. He says, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. So chapter 4, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of sacrificial work, parampara, culminate in knowledge. So let's see the series of events that have led to Arjuna's confusion. We'll learn this more and more. See now, in chapter 3, these were the shlokas. What are they saying? But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully saturated, for him there is no duty. So why should Arjuna come, go ahead and fight now, right? And then again, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. So a person who is fully Krishna conscious, is fully self-realized, he is confident of his eternal position, he knows his relationship with the Supreme, he has no longer any duty to perform. Because all these activities prescribed to us through Vedas, they are also they are supposed to take us towards the ultimate goal of life. And a person who already has all this knowledge and he's already on that platform, doesn't have to perform those duties. And for such a person, what would have happened is there won't be any impiety in his heart because of the transcendental knowledge. His heart will be very clean. And when that consciousness is cleared, it is as if somebody has performed thousands and thousands of yagnas performances, because he's that pure already. So he will have no longer, he's not obligated to follow all the Vedic injunctions. That's what Krishna is saying. And this self-illumination also happens because of the grace of the Lord only. Because, it's not easy to get to that stage. And also another thing is, a person who is elevated to that level, who is a very highly elevated devotee, will not be interested in material activities. He won't be interested in, material arrangements like drinking wine or going out with women or any kind of infatuations and sense gratification. All this will look very, low. He would have developed higher tastes. So that's what he is on another platform. So now, O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. So the purpose of performing all the sacrifices is to reach status of complete knowledge. But knowledge alone is not enough. Just having knowledge doesn't take us any, not purify us. It will not take us to the spiritual world. So what are we supposed to do? If you want to become free from material miseries, we must engage in the loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And there is a mystery there also, because all these different kinds of sacrifices, all that, everything depends on the faith of the performer. Whoever is performing these activities depends on their faith. So when a person's faith has reached the stage of transcendental knowledge, only he is supposed to be very advanced. By sacrificing material possessions without knowledge, it is just material activity. If you sacrifice something material, it is just material activity. There is no spiritual benefit to it. So real knowledge should actually culminate in God consciousness, this Krishna consciousness. That is the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. So based on the performer's consciousness, sacrificial activities are sometimes called karma kanda or gnana kanda. It depends on their consciousness, their faith. So it depends on what kind of sacrifices a person is performing. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. So again, Arjuna was confused. He seemed not to have understood that working in full knowledge is non-reactive, and it is equal to inaction. Okay, so this instruction is for all of us actually. Krishna is simultaneously stressing on the importance of work in devotion, and he also says inaction in knowledge. So here it is, just to simplify everything, this information is put like this. Chapter 2, Jnana, work through Buddhi Yoga. Arjuna became confused, and then what happened? Jnana, renunciation of Buddhi Yoga is happening. And chapter 3, what should he do? Again he asked. He heard about karma through jnana, action in action. And now, conclusion. Krishna was glorifying transcendental knowledge. And then he's saying stand and fight. So chapter 5, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. All beings constantly are making plans for the future. Thoughts are manifested in actions. Okay. All beings are constantly making plans. So thoughts are manifested in actions. Repeated actions form habits. Habits make up our character. Character determines our destiny. And how to take steps in the right direction is described in the 5th chapter. There are steps leading to further entanglement in worldly complexities. There are steps leading to a life of liberation, freedom and tranquility and peace. So here, if we see we are constantly thinking about so many things. The mind is always like that. Mind is constantly, it needs some engagement. It's constantly thinking about something. We cannot say, I'll just go sit in one corner and stop thinking, or just watch my thoughts. Thinking, feeling, willing, these are the activities of the mind. And what happens? The quality of our thoughts will manifest as actions, and that's how we form our habits, and that will become our character. And after we give up the body, what will happen? We'll take another body according to our desires and character. We'll get a body. It could be any body. This life we have got human body, but we don't know what will happen next life. So we have to be very, very careful. That's why we have to chant a lot, so that our heart will be purified and mind also gets purified. Thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to habits, which lead to character. Character leads to destiny. So you have to be very, very careful. So Arjuna's misunderstanding. Devotional service better than dry mental speculation. So this slide is like a summary. From text 11 to 30, knowledge of soul described by Krishna. 31 to 37, prescribed duty is explained. Then text 42 to 45, entanglement of soul due to fruitive activities. 46 to 53, explaining the process of disentanglement by devotional service. In 3rd chapter, in text 17 to 18, he explained no duty for a person in knowledge. Chapter 4, text 33 explained all kinds of sacrificial work culminates in knowledge. And in last verse of 4th chapter, Krishna again told Arjun to get up and fight, thus confusing Arjuna, renounce or work. So this is what is happening. So again, Krishna is saying, work in devotional service. That is better than dry mental speculation. Devotional service is easier and it is transcendental in nature and it frees us from all kinds of reactions. We will not incur any sins. Arjuna is still confused. Why? It is Krishna's plan to keep Arjuna confused. Why Krishna does so? For our benefit. To stress that work and renunciation are not opposed to each other. Rather, one must learn to work in a renounced spirit. So Arjuna thinks that jnana implies the renunciation of work and that knowledge and work, like light and darkness, are contradictory. Krishna emphasizes, however, that one in knowledge should also work. Arjuna's confusion. Okay, who would like to read this? Hare Krishna.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
You say,
Manoj, Prabhu and
so
Kavita
Arjuna's-
Patel, in the next slides you can read. Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Arjuna's confusion. You say, work for sense activity must be given up. Fighting for a kingdom, even with knowledge of the soul, seems like activity of the senses to me. Therefore, it should be given up. If one works with devotion, then how is work stopped? You speak in riddles. Action in inaction, inaction in action. I am confused.
So that's what is going on with Arjuna right now. So which is better, work with devotion or renunciation of work?
Devotion.
Okay. So whoever has raised hand, would you like to read like Manor Prabhu first and then next slide Kavita Mataji can pick up. So Prabhuji, would you like to recite this verse and read
Yes,
the
Mataji.
translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Bhagavad Gita 5.2 Sri Bhagavana Uvacha Sanasya Karma Yogascha Nishriyasa Karma Abhava Tayos tu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yoga Vishishyate. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. So activities in Krishna consciousness are not on the fruitive platform, they're not done for sense gratification and they're superior to renunciation. So a Krishna conscious person is completely convinced about his activities and about the supremacy of Krishna. Just a minute. Okay, so a Krishna conscious person is completely convinced about the supremacy of Krishna and he's in the state of divine love. He's whatever he does out of love. There's no obligation. He's happy performing his devotional service and he's completely in a very so totally surrender mood and he is actually enjoying his work. And he has knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything. And he acts in that spirit. So he acts for everyone actually. Whatever he's doing, his heart is so pure. There's no envy towards anyone. He's trying to look at everybody as spirit souls. And all his actions will be beneficial for everybody in the society. So that's how purified they are. And he can engage in first class welfare work. That's what Prabhupada writes. Okay, because they are so much into serving the Lord, and they want to help everyone. They want to raise their consciousness, revive their consciousness. Why are we suffering in the society? Basically, because we have forgotten our relationship with God, relationship with Krishna. He is the supreme enjoyer. He is the proprietor, and he is the supreme friend. And we are just so attached to these materials, and we think, oh, I'm going to own this, I'm going to own that, and I am the proprietor. We think we want to be the boss. We want to enjoy without him. So that is why we are suffering. But a Krishna conscious person knows this. So what does he do? He actually tries to help others also realize this fact and try to revive. He tries to revive their consciousness, tries to help them in their spiritual journey. And that is the highest welfare work a person can do, to the human society. Because whenever you are donating something or giving something, some materials, it has temporary benefit. If a person is purified from inside, problem is the pollution of consciousness. Prabhupada writes, we talk about pollution in the environment, pollution, how we are dirtying the environment, how Mother Earth is being affected by all this, and there is war going on, this and that and everything. But the problem is consciousness itself is so polluted. If everybody is purified and everybody is God conscious, Krishna conscious, what will happen? There won't be any kind of problems in the society. Everybody will cooperate with each other, and they will not commit sins. So that will be their consciousness. So that is why a person who is Krishna conscious actually is is performing duties according to his devotion, and he benefits everybody in the society. So let's go on the next slide. Okay. Renunciation, Mayavadi sannyasis, work in devotion, Vaishnava sannyasis. So now we are going to learn about the difference between these two. So needs prior purification by prescribed duties, Mayavadi sannyasis. And in devotional service, the process itself is so purifying because we chant, we serve the Lord. And if you see in the devotees in the temple also, and some are grihasthas, they are in the family life, they're still serving the Lord. They are constantly serving, whatever capacity they can, they're serving. And the process itself is so purifying, the heart and mind, everything will get purified. But in Mayavadi sannyasis, they need some kind of purification because that's their idea. Simply gnana insufficient for liberation. Just having knowledge will not take us to the spiritual world. Action is must. We must act in status of soul. There is risk of fall down for Mayavadis. We'll discuss this more in the coming slides. Then for a person who is working in devotion, success is guaranteed. Entrance into God's kingdom is guaranteed. And Mayavada sannyasi, they are like, their renunciation is incomplete. And for a person who is working in devotion, his renunciation is complete. He uses everything for Krishna. Then Mayavadi sannyasis find the root, Vishnu, and the Vaishnava sannyasis, what are the root? We'll discuss this also. The process is to detach from matter, and in Vaishnava sannyasis, they become attached to Krishna. And in Mayavada sannyasis, Mayavadis, there is no happiness, there's no joy in, when you're studying so much, trying to knowledge time, serving the Lord in devotional service and sitting and trying to mentally speculate and trying to find out some facts, that is actually, you don't feel that bliss. So there is no happiness. And senses are registered in devotional service. And here are engaged, all senses are engaged. We can look at the deities, we can we can sing, we can serve something, we can cook for the deities, we can do so many activities, whatever we can. And if we are working, we can offer a little bit, the fruits of our activity to Krishna. So that way, if we can dedicate our time for the Lord's service. So many things we can do. We perform multiple devotional activities. And Mayavadi sannyasis take many births, and Vaishnava sannyasis quickly achieve Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this Mayavadi sannyasis study Sankhya philosophy, and those who work in devotion study Srimad Bhagavatam. Saririka Bhasya or Vedanta Sutra by Shankaracharya. This is what they study. Okay, they also study Bhagavatam, but they read, the scripture given by Shankaracharya, Shariraka Bhasya. Here we study Srimad Bhagavatam, which is natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And Mayavada sannyasis, actually they may fall down to philanthropic and altruistic activities. And Vaishnavas, they have multiple engagements in devotional service according to Pancharatriki regulations. They serve the deity, they dress the deity, they cook bhoga, they preach, they do a lot of activities like that. So we'll discuss this more here now. Who would like to recite this? Kavita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Bhagavad
Yes,
Gita, verse 5.3. Yeyasa nitya sannyasi yo na dreshti na kankshati nidvindo hi mahabaho sukham bandhyatma amuchyate. One who neither hates nor desires the fruit of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all duties, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. We live in a world full of duality. We hate something, we desire something, we lament for something, we hanker for something. So some things make us happy, some things make us sad. So there is duality. But we have to advance above these dualities. Krishna is saying, he's saying don't give up the activity, but give up the fruits of the activity. And if we work for Krishna, this is what will happen. We'll come out of all these dualities. How, like, see, a person who is advanced in spiritual life, this is how he'll act. We can take an example of a cinema. For instance, there is a big board of some advertisement that says, oh, watch this movie today. Person who is very knowledgeable, he will not, neither he will hate that poster, nor he will love. He'll just look at it and he'll just walk away. It does not bother him at all. So there is no reaction there. And there are many examples like this. Say, for instance, there is somebody, giving free liquor outside the house. They say, this is very expensive wine and it's come from some kind of a great country, and please come, we are giving this for free. But if a person does not want to drink, he's made up his mind that he's not going to touch alcohol, it's not going to bother him. He'll either hate that activity nor love, but he'll just be like, okay, I don't want it, I've decided already, I don't want it. That's how there will be. So we have to raise above these dualities. So we renounce the results, not the action. So whenever we come across some situations like this, if our faith in Krishna is very strong and if we are purified, then we know what to do. So that's how a real renunciate will live. He will not run away from anything. It does not bother him, whatever happens around him. He'll still stay pure. Okay. There is one shloka. Who would like to recite? Two people have raised their hand. Manor Prabhuji, do you want to recite this shloka?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Bhagavad Gita 5.4. Sankhya Yoga Prathaga Balaha Pravadanti na Panditaha Ekam Ape Asthitaha Samayo Yaga Abhyora Vidante Phalam. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So what is the aim of all the analytical study here? Krishna is saying, without lethargy, fight. What is the aim of all the analytical study of the material world, all the philosophical search? It is for self-realization, which is our ultimate goal of life, to find the existence of soul. Okay. And we were also discussing about finding the root of the tree, right? In the previous. So it is like this. A person who is, studying Sankhya, philosophy. It's like, say, if you compare a tree to the material world, you look at the tree and say, oh, this tree is standing, and I want to find out more about this tree. How does this tree work and whatever is happening? He wants to find out a lot of things about the tree. He will dig up the soil, he'll dig up everything, you'll move everything, and then he'll pluck off the tree, and then he'll say, oh, there are roots under the tree, and the roots are actually absorb the water and nutrition. I know this is what he's doing. He's trying to find out like that. Okay. And he studies philosophy in this way. But a person who is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he directly waters the root, because he knows, he's learned from his master, he has learned from all these elevated souls that this is how a tree functions, and there are roots underneath. So he just follows the instruction and pours the water on the root of the plant. So that is the difference, but there is no difference between the two processes, because the aim is Vishnu. The super soul is the soul of the material world. Vishnu, or the super soul, is the soul of the material world. So they come to the same conclusion, but the process is very different. So they say, okay, we don't belong to this material world, so we have to detach ourselves from matter. But what does a Krishna conscious person do? He actually says, we are parts and parcels of the Lord, so let us get attached to the Lord. So detaching from matter or attaching to Krishna, it's the same thing. So ultimately, what is easier is devotional service. So working in devotional service is easier and better, rather than dry mental speculation. This is what Krishna is also saying here. Only the ignorant speak of devotional service as being different from the analytical study of the material world. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. So now 5.2 to 5. In many ways, they are both the same. Jnana, Sankhya, and Karma Yoga Bhakti. Neither hates nor desires fruits. Okay, and he's free from dualities. This is for bhaktas, and they are liberated. Comes to understand that his body becomes detached from matter, hates nor desires fruits, free from dualities, liberated. Comes to understand that his soul, not his body, becomes attached to working for Krishna. So this is the difference between them. One who studies Jnana, Sankhya Yoga, and one who is involved in Nishkama Karma Yoga, Bhakti. Sankhya and devotional service. Okay, who would like to read this? Kavita Mataji, Hare Krishna. Would you like to read this slide?
Yes, Mataji. Sankhya and devotional service. In the first process, Sankhya one has to become detached from matters, and in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna consciousness. Factually, both processes are the same, although superficially, one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. Detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can sees things as they are. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So this is taken from 5.5 upward. So what is the proper understanding of renunciation now? Let's try to understand. Renunciation is complete when it is in the knowledge that everything that exists in this material creation belongs to the Lord, and no one can claim proprietorship over anything. So that is real renunciation. Means not running away from matter, but using whatever God has given us in His service only. So that is actual renunciation. Otherwise, it will be like Falgu Vairagya. You know what is Falgu Vairagya? Have you heard about it? Falgu is a river. It remains dry on the surface. If you look at it all through the year, it look very dry. But if you scratch the surface, there is water underneath. So it's like that. That is artificial renunciation. Externally, we look so renounced, but little bit something happens, we may get disturbed. So our senses will be disturbed. We'll go and that is not real renunciation. A renounced person is someone like, again, Prabhupada could be he's the best example we have. So he was living among hippies and got all kind of dirty people, and he had to go through so much, but still he remained very determined, and he was himself. It's like a lotus flower. There is one of the slides, you can see that. In that slide, it explains very beautifully. The slide explains very beautifully that how a lotus does not get contaminated. So these elevated souls live like that. Okay. So they use everything in the Lord's service. They are not bewildered by matter, but they know everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna's energies are everywhere. So there is no need to get disturbed. All we have to do is use whatever we have in the service of the Lord. But what are we sacrificing then? We're sacrificing, we're giving up the tendency, the propensity to enjoy our senses without Krishna. If we try to enjoy ourselves, you can see so many people addicted to so many things also, right? People could be addicted to food, could be addicted to, so many things. So that is all because of sense gratification. It's like adding fuel to fire. But a person who has knowledge, he will not do anything. We will offer everything to Krishna first and then consume. So in Nectar of Devotion also we will learn that. So many other books are there where we will learn that a devotee actually knows how much he should consume, and how he just consumes whatever just to maintain the body and soul together, nothing more. Whatever he does with that consciousness. Am I doing the right thing? Am I serving the Lord by doing this activity? That's his consciousness all the time. So again, is there a verse here? Yes, there is one shloka here. Who would like to recite? All of you can try actually. It's okay to be wrong. That's how we learn. Shubhangi Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please recite, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. And trying. Bhagavad Gita 5.6. Sannyasas tu mahambaho duhakham aptum ayoga tah. Yoga yukto munira brahma na chirena di gachati. Merely renouncing all activities and not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So again, whatever we were discussing just now, same thing has been stressed here. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of God cannot make one happy. This image also shows that, right? But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. They're so happy. Once someone asked Prabhupada, said, Swamiji, how come your followers, all these disciples of yours, they're so bright-faced? You see their face, they look so, there's so much joy on their faces. They look so nice. Their face is very bright. So Prabhupada says, because the process is like that. The process is so nice. They're chanting, they are involved in serving the Lord and everything. From inside, they're purified. So it shows on their skin also. So they don't have to do anything artificially to look beautiful. They're always, that smile, that glow, they're always looking nice and beautiful. How to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga? One performing Nishkama Karma Yoga identifies neither with his body nor the activities that his body performs. Performance of Nishkama Karma. One performing Nishkama Karma Yoga identifies neither with his body nor the activities his body performs. By his detached actions, he is freed from the reactions of his activities. Again, Nishkama Karma Yoga, perfect knowledge. I am not material body, I am soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I want to render service to him. I will work in a detached spirit. So this is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Who is a Nishkama Karma Yogi? Who are you? If you ask him who you are, he'll say, I'm a servant of God. What work do you do? Work allotted by God. How do you do the work? I work hard with sincerity, dedication to my best ability. What do you do with the results? I hand it over to God. So he's a soul enjoyer, the soul proprietor. Krishna consciousness and bodily consciousness. Steadily devoted soul offers results to me. That's 5.12. Others are greedy for the fruits of the labor, result in entanglement. So what is the difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and bodily consciousness? Can you answer in your own words? What is a person in bodily consciousness? How does he think? What does he do? What is the basic difference between them? A person who's Krishna conscious and who's attached too much to his body.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Can I try to answer this?
Yes, Prabhuji, please. Go ahead.
I'm just based on my again. Bodily conscious person always thinks about his personal gain. Always thinking about the results of the fruits of the activities which he is doing. So always he is focused, like I is the focus basically when he is discussing or talking about or thinking about. And whereas person in Krishna consciousness, whatever he does, he doesn't worry about the results. Om Tat Sat, I can say to start with that this is the word he will think of, that whatever the outcome is, it is due to Lord Krishna's mercy. I hope I tried to answer this, Mataji, in brief.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, very nice answer. Thank you so much. Yes, a person in Krishna consciousness is attached to Krishna and he has no anxiety over the results of his activities and is very peaceful. But a person who is in bodily consciousness, what happens is he's attached to the results of his activities. He's entangled in that, he's always calculating what will I make profit or no. And it is all done for sense gratification. So there is no peace also. He wants to know what will I gain out of this? If I'm doing this activity, what am I going to gain? What am I going to gain? He's always looking at the profit. So there is some anxiety there, right? But a person who is working for Krishna is not like that. He is very, very happy and very peaceful. So he understands, the realization that there is no existence besides Krishna. Then from that platform, he experiences peace and is also fearless. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Just like you can see Prabhupada again, so many people were attracted to him. And even Krishna, wherever he went, you will not see Krishna alone. No? He was always surrounded by friends. He's always with somebody, right? You can see all his paintings and so many things we read about Krishna. He was like that, very, very attractive. So just like Prabhupada also, he made so many disciples, so many people got attracted to him. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, that he is aloof from them. Okay? Without the Lord's sanction, nothing moves. So he knows. That's how everything is happening. So Prabhupada again is the perfect example for everything that we read here. And he was a Mahabhagavata, and in Bhagavatam also there are so many devotees who are excellent examples for all this. So actually we finished half the chapter. We can stop here and do the rest next time. because if we continue and finish, it will take another 1 hour and it will be too much. But there is more to come. There is so many more slides and we can discuss so many more examples.